Experience Karen Hunter
in a completely different way.
Karen Hunter is awesome. The podcast.
If you like me on SiriusXM Urban View Channel 126, you're gonna love me. And Karen Hunter is awesome. Hey, this is Karen Hunter, host of the Karen Hunter Show on SiriusXM's Urban View. Karen Hunter is awesome is an actual podcast to bring heat and energy and knowledge and power. A 1-2 punch that I don't think you get anyplace else. Tell the truth. Check out the podcast wherever you get your podcast. You will not be disappointed. Let me ask you this. Ms. and I were cleaning up because I launched a podcast in December, and I'm catching my stride now. This weekend I actually sat with Stephen A. Smith for a lengthy period of time, and we were extracting the politics part because the stories are making the rounds again about this presidential thing, and we addressed it. I addressed it. I addressed it in this conversation. We also addressed the game, and you're somebody that, because we're going to get into Elon Musk, we're going to get into Social Security, we're going to get into the Dow falling, we're going to get into all of the things that are happening via Doge, Ukraine. We got some topics that we're going to hit on today. Yeah. But I wanted to ask you, somebody that has kind of spent your career navigating these C-suites, these places of high, influence. As somebody that's done that, and Stephen A. was reminding me, I used to be that person. I used to be the one person in the room, invited to the thing with the people who make decisions. I'm on editorial board for several years. We're sitting in these rooms, making decisions, writing editorials, and making an impact. But it's very clear it's an inside-out game, and I made a decision to walk away from that. I was at CNN, I was at MSNBC. I remember having these inner conversations, but also when they sat me down, I was like, oh, motherfuckers, y'all, that's what y'all doing? Okay, on. Like, I decided to do something different. Now, sitting here every day, as I said, this is not radio for me. For you, as you're navigating these waters, there used to be rules of engagement that made sense. I'm suspecting that those rules don't apply anymore, or am I wrong?
No, you suspect correctly. And, the thing about the Trump experiment, which is now 10 years old, right, is that the one thing that we can agree to, or at least observe, whether or not you agree with it, is that he has fundamentally changed the dynamics of how power is used, deployed, found, all of that in the world of politics. He's not playing by any type of rules. So whether or not you agree with his politics, and forgive me for being so bold as to presume that many of us in your show universe do not agree with his politics, I think that we need to fundamentally learn something from his time in public office and in public view, is that we need to have the audacity, particularly on the political left, to behave as though we're in charge when we are actually in charge. And perhaps that's got something to do with the ability and the caucasity to lie as a rich white man and not face the penalties.
Wait, hold on. Your mic is going. Keep your hands straight. Yeah.
I got some wind going.
Smith says it's the wind. Bring your ass in the house, sir. You're doing live radio. Come
on. I'm getting back. Look, I think we need to.
Your desire to get vitamin D will not impede what we're doing here today. Okay.
It will not. I promise you, I'm gonna walk right back inside after this break. But listen, we don't have the audacity to look at a camera and lie, misrepresent stuff, right? But I think that what Donald Trump has shown us is that there are no rules. You can say many things to many different audiences, particularly in a universe in which people's attention span is about the length of a TikTok reel. You can say one thing to one audience, you can say one thing one day and another thing the next. And we disagree with that because people of good faith, that doesn't sit right with us as a fundamentally moral and correct behavior. But the reality of the matter is that we have to be willing to use power and exert authority in ways that, let's just say, Democrats, but frankly, not even Democrats, traditional country club Republicans have not done prior to Trump. I don't agree with much of anything that Donald Trump does, but I am fascinated, and I know that as a student of history and politics, you are fascinated by his ability to wrangle and exploit power. And that is something that we on the left have historically not done, that I think we could take a lesson from.
I actually don't think that what we're dealing with is politics. So once back in 2015, I knew that he could win because it wasn't about politics. It wasn't about policy. It wasn't about resources. This is a cultural moment, and this country is having a reckoning that it's had a few times, but we've never solved the problem. Right? Whether we can go back to the 3/5 compromise that then led to, some other laws, fugitive slave laws, and then this notion that maybe we don't need slavery, but we still need an underclass. So let's figure this out. Oh, Jim Crow. At every turn, this country has had an opportunity to be a more perfect union, and it has failed miserably. We are at that crossroad again, and Donald Trump is the purveyor of the old way. Give us, Dixie. I wish I wasn't Dixie. He is the symbolic physical personification of I wish I wasn't Dixie. Hooray, hooray. And we, the people, must determine whether or not that's acceptable. And I think most of us think that it's not acceptable, but we don't know what to do. So what it has also done is paralyze so many of us to know what to do next. We don't have a playbook for this because we have never been here before, not even our parents. So it's like, okay, what worked then? Selma Bridge? No, we can't do that. We're not going to be out there in them streets getting our head knocked in because now there's nobody coming to save us.
That is correct. And it is sobering, but you are entirely correct. I was having this conversation earlier today and just prepping to be here with some friends. And, if you look at the news stories, none of which are ostensibly connected, but if you look at Bloomberg News and CNN and then Cover Canadian News, you see all these different stories and you're able to put them together. And my buddy was just like, yeah, this is why I hate Democrats, because we don't fight. It ain't about that. I mean, yes, Democrats have not fought, but Democrats are simply a part of a system that does not know how to respond to this new and exacerbated and steroidal use of power that we're seeing under this Trump 2.0, right? Frankly, we didn't know how to respond to 1.0, and we made no fundamental adjustments during the 4 years of the Biden term. And so we know not what to do in this hour. So it's very jarring to see them not only do wrong, not only not care about people, but to do so in an emphasized and faster, higher, stronger, more organized chaos way, because they've had 4 years to plan this out. And we're seeing them execute with, ruthless ambition and ruthless efficiency, and it doesn't make us feel good, but we have not been willing to shake any trees. Look, I've seen some people start to say this in popular media now, but I'm gonna take credit for it. I've been blessed to work some campaigns around the world, and I've been married to not one but now two Caribbean women, so I know what it looks like to be a member of the opposition. Democrats are the minority party. They are the polite, genteel minority party. Well, this moment, not only in American history, but in global history, we need an opposition party. And you know what that looks like. If you've been to Jamaica, if you've been to Haiti, if you worked campaigns somewhere other than here, we have to be members of the active opposition. Now, that's easy to say, but the question is, what does it look like? I would challenge to say that I love my frat brother, Brooklyn's own Hakeem Jeffries, but I don't give a damn about nobody rapping right now. That's not what we're looking for. We are looking for active opposition to a fascist authoritarian regime that right now, without active opposition, all Americans will be steamrolled and will feel the effects of it. Elon Musk was not playing when he said the middle class is going to have to feel the pain. I don't know why we didn't take him seriously, but now we very clearly see what that looks like. You don't know what that looks like? Well, mass federal layoffs plus him crashing a private company every week will lead to mass layoffs, unfettered, unstopped. Let's be clear. It ain't just Democrats. Congressional, senatorial committee chair Republicans have no say in this right now. Right. So I think that you need an active opposition as opposed to folks just being we're outvoted in the minority. That ain't going to cut it because that ain't going to save us in this moment.
Correct. Well, I think no one voted for Musk. So why would we think that anything that he has to say would have any impact on our life? Like who would imagine that? Who would imagine a king? Who would imagine somebody taking power that was barely a citizen, let alone elected, Who
You're
could
supposed to be
imagine?
able to imagine it. That's why history matters. Derek Bell told us that you will make progress only when your interests converge with the larger dominant white authorities' progress. It's called interest convergence. If you watch this thing, we've seen that our country has been for sale for some time now, probably dating back to the late 70s, very early 80s. We've been fundamentally for sale for a long time now, and eventually it was going to be somebody to rise up to amass enough wealth to be rich enough to buy it. So we have been bought, right? Because we have been for sale for a long time, way before Hakeem Jeffries. So,
Wait, can you pause there for a second? Because
yeah,
I've been on the radio long enough to talk about, even before this, when I was on WWRL, asking the question about China buying our debt. I just recently divested myself from a lot of my treasury bonds because I don't believe this treasury. I believe that this treasury is about to be gutted. I can't align my money to something that, the interest rate has gone down to 1.9%. I can get more now someplace else. So I'm like, I've been doing savings bonds for damn near 20 years. It's time for me to tap out and do something else. I had already halted putting more money in, but I was like, maybe it's time for me to cash in my money and put it someplace else. This government, to your point, is for sale. I was like, how does China own so much of our debt? Doesn't that put us in a vulnerable position? I was asking this question beyond administrations, which is why this has never been political for me. Why I don't get caught up in parties. And now we got the Saudis gave Jared Kushner $2 billion last time. I said, for what? For what? We let a journalist get chopped up and carted out in little boxes and nothing happened. Nobody. And I said, this is a problem. The whole Kim Jong-un thing. I was like, what is going on here? And now Russia. I'm an American. All these people flying American flags, wearing made in somebody else in their tags, and don't see the hypocrisy or the weirdness or the vulnerability of that. It's wild.
Experience Karen Hunter
In a completely different way.
Karen Hunter is awesome. The podcast.
If you like me on SiriusXM Urban View Channel 126, you're gonna love me. And Karen Hunter is awesome. Hey, this is Karen Hunter, host of the Karen Hunter Show on SiriusXM's Urban View. Karen Hunter is awesome is an actual podcast to bring heat and energy and knowledge and power. A 1-2 punch that I don't think you get anyplace else. Tell the truth. Check out the podcast wherever you get your podcast. You will not be disappointed.